welcome back to our channel, Daily Dose of Fuego. So in today's video, I thought that it would be a fun video idea to start a little mini series talking about the basics of makeup. I get a lot of questions through friends or family members or people that I meet when we're just running our normal day-to-day errands about what makeup I'm wearing and what exactly it is that I'm using and just tips and tricks, and I love sharing it with you guys so much and with so many other people. So I figured, why not just have a video of the basics? So in today's video, I'm going to show you guys how to get a flawless base. We're going to do foundation, we're going to do concealer, and we're going to set it all, and that's going to show you guys like your step one. You can go to so many looks after you have that main base on you. You can do natural look or dramatic look, so we are going to get into the video. So first things first, I always put up my hair when I do my foundation, and I have like a little claw clip. This is just for me, it's just personal preference. I don't like my hair in my makeup. So I'll do this. Look a little crazy. Well, that's okay. Then we're gonna go on to primer. The primer that I'm using today is the Spackle Mattifying Oil Control Under Makeup Primer by Laura Geller. And this one is like a pore filling primer. So I'm gonna squeeze it onto my hand, a little dollop amount. Close that up. And I'm gonna put this in my T-zone. So this is gonna make sure that you don't get oily throughout your day and also that your pores are gonna be filled. So I put this right in between my eyebrows, on my nose. Make sure you get into the little cracks of your nose, and I'll bring it down to my chin too. And so you're really gonna spread this in, and you're gonna try to like kind of push the product in to your cheeks and where you have like larger pores. I usually have the most pores showing on my nose, so I really work it in here. So that's step one. Always prime side. Next, we're gonna go on to foundation. I'm gonna use the Wet n Wild Photo Focus foundation, and my color is gonna be golden beige, in case you guys are wondering. I really like this foundation for a day-to-day look, nighttime look. It just photographs so well, and it's really full coverage. And the applicator is very unique too. It's kind of like a little spatula, so you can kind of paint it on your face, which I love that I can do that. Make sure all my hair is in my way so I don't get it on my hair. And this is pretty buildable. I think that like normally it's probably a medium coverage, but you can definitely build it up to full. So I'm gonna put a generous amount on because I have a couple breakouts that I want to cover. Spread this out. Make sure you get the neck so you can blend everywhere. So now that you look like a crazy person with some stripes on your face, this is my little trick that I do with this foundation. This foundation can kind of get a little bit drying on your skin. So for my nose, I leave it as is, and I'm gonna blend it with the Morphe Beauty Blender. I'm gonna take the flat side and I'm gonna blend out my nose first and kind of my T-zone. And this, again, because it's kind of a mattifying foundation, I've noticed, it just makes sure that I stay matte throughout my entire day. So we're gonna blend kind of the T-zone area first. Make sure you get on the sides of your nose. And wherever else you need. Okay, so like I said before, this foundation can be a little bit drying, and my skin on the T-zone is oily, but on the rest it's pretty normal. Sometimes can be dry. So what I've been doing with this foundation is mixing it with the Rimmel Insta Flawless Perfecting Radiant Skin Tint. So it's meant to be used as a primer, but I like to mix this in with my foundation for the rest of my face that I'm not trying to keep matte. So I add, same thing, a little dollop just directly onto my sponge. You can mix your foundation and this primer somewhere else, but this is just easier. So I dot it on both sides, and then I just blend the rest of my face. And you can see I have some breakouts, and this is really gonna cover it. And I feel like this primer keeps just your foundation looking natural and glowy and dewy, very skin-like. But I try to stay away from adding this primer because on my T-zone, because I feel like it might make me a little bit oily. So I'm super excited to be doing this video. Gotten a lot of encouragement from so many family and friends. My fiance behind the camera filming this, my best friend, just everyone. I feel like it's just a little nerve-wracking. I think, I don't know, doing your makeup on camera. Because I don't think I'm a makeup artist. I'm just probably your average Joe that knows a little bit more than your average Joe. So you want to make sure that you blend all of this in. Definitely bring it down your neck so we're not uneven. And I like to take mine up behind or underneath the ears and kind of on the jawline. So that is blended. That is one layer of foundation, the Wet n Wild Photo Focus foundation, mixed with the primer, the Rimmel Insta Flawless. Again, I just put this in the middle of my face to make sure that that part stays matte because this is kind of a drier formula, and then I mixed it together for the outer edge of my face because I like just kind of the glow that it gives you. It looks very natural and dewy. So that is foundation. Now we're gonna move on to concealer. What I've been liking lately is the Makeup Revolution Conceal and Define Concealer. I have two shades here. I ordered these online. I have C5 and C6. C5, if you can see, is a little bit more on the pinky side, and C6 is just more neutral. So I've been trying to just use them up both, but I'm just gonna do C6 today. And this is to brighten up underneath your eyes. So I'm gonna do in the inner corners where you get the darkest, and then bring it out like an upside down triangle. I like to bring this along the sides of my nose. It's kind of like a reverse contour technique. And then this is a very lightweight formula, so it looks like I'm putting a lot, but it blends out really easily. And you just want to put it all along the side. And I'm doing the exact same thing to the other side. I'm not really one to like highlight the forehead and the chin and all that stuff. Okay, so we're gonna go back to our Morphe Beauty Blender, and we're gonna blend that out. So you're gonna pounce it in. You don't wanna rub, because if you rub, you're gonna take the coverage off of the product. So we're gonna pounce that in. Make sure you don't leave a line between your foundation and your concealer. I bring it up onto the top of my lip a little bit and a little bit on the sides of my mouth, because I feel like I have some dark spots there, or just darkness in general. Make sure you blend in the concealer on the inner part of your eyes, and then doing it on the eyelids. I'm not really going to do any shadow today, I don't think, so I just want to make sure that my eyelids are even. So really making sure that's blended out. And then make sure you get up underneath the lash lines. You don't want a gap of darkness and then your concealer. So as you can see, that brightened up this side completely. Next, we're gonna set it. So what I've been doing lately is getting another beauty sponge. This is the Real Techniques beauty sponge, and I've been really loving this Beauty Bakerie flour translucent powder. And what I do is I tilt it upside down, I open it, and I put powder in that cap. And then I'm gonna get the Real Techniques sponge, dip it in the powder so you have a pretty generous amount. And then you're gonna look into your mirror, make sure you don't have any creases, because you don't wanna set any creases. And then I'm gonna take that sponge with the powder and go down the sides of my nose, and then set the rest of my concealer. And you're gonna gently press it in. And this is basically just making sure that your concealer is not gonna move, it's not gonna crease, it's gonna last all day long. So we're gonna gently press that in. Taking a little bit more, I'm gonna set my eyelids, because they just have concealer and foundation on them. And I am gonna set that. And this is used for baking too, so it can bring some brightness underneath your eyes. So we're just setting all of that so nothing's gonna crease from your eyelids to your under eye area. You should be completely fine. This should last all day and all night. And I really like this powder because I feel like it really smooths out your pores. Like the more I put it on and press it into my skin, it just makes like such a flawless base. I've used the Benai banana powder, and I liked that one for a while, but it was too yellow. I've also used the RCMA, and I don't know if it's just the winter months, but my under eyes were getting really dry, so that didn't work. So then I tried this, and it's moisturizing. It doesn't leave a white cast. It's really like smoothing to your under eye area and to your nose, like the pore area. It's great. I love it. So now we're gonna go on to the other side. Same Morphe Beauty Sponge, and blend that in. Again, bringing it down the sides of your mouth so you can have some brightness there too. Sides of your nose. Make sure you get into the inner corner of your eye. And then just blending it out. So for most people from here, you're gonna just take your sponge again, dip it in your powder, and set your under eye. For me, I like a little bit of extra coverage. I don't know if you guys can even see in the camera, but I have a birthmark on this side, and it looks like light freckles, and I just want it to look like completely flawless on both sides. So I take my Hard Candy Glamouflage Heavy Duty Concealer. I put this on a sponge, and I just add it just into that area so it can cover those little freckles that are showing, which is actually a birthmark. So I put a little on this little sponge. This is an old sponge from Sonia Kashuk. I like to keep this concealer because it's so thick on a different sponge, just because it's really hard to wash off. It just stains your sponge. So I just put this just in that area where I have the birthmark peeking through the foundation and the concealer. And it's flawless. This concealer is amazing for that. And it also covers tattoos if you need to for whatever reason. So I'm just gonna go over the edges of the other concealer and kind of blend in the Glamouflage and the Makeup Revolution concealer. So that way it just looks like one concealer. It doesn't look like you have two different shades. Now I go in with my sponge, dip it in the powder, go down the sides of my nose, and I set all of this. Setting the eyelids, the inner corner, all along the sides, and really letting that soak in. And again, because this powder is so smoothing, I like to take it on my T-zone. I'll take it in between the eyebrows, just lift it a little bit, and then I'll put it down the center of my nose. And the longer you have the powder on your face, the more oil it's gonna soak up, and so you'll just be matter longer throughout the day. So I like to keep this in this area and look like a crazy person and have a mask. So we're gonna let that sit. You can let it sit as long as you want. From there, I'm going to set the rest of my face, and I'm gonna use the Maybelline Superstay Better Skin powder. And I saw Jaclyn Hill do this, so I've been liking doing this as well. You take the other side of the Morphe sponge, the flat side, and you rub it in the powder. And this is a pretty fine powder, so it's okay. And you're gonna kind of press it in. So this is gonna set the rest of your makeup. And by pressing it in with the powder, you're not gonna get a cakey or a powdery finish. It's gonna look really natural. And this powder is nice because I feel like it adds the tiniest bit more coverage. So I'm just gonna press that in. I bring it up to the line where my under eye powder is, so that way there's no line or harsh line between the two. Bring it along the sides of my face. Again, bringing it up to where the white powder is, so that way you don't have a harsh line there. Setting the forehead. And then for the neck, I like to set that with a brush. So I'm going to get, this is a flat top brush, if you guys can see. and this is by e.l.f. This is their powder brush. So I'll swirl it into the powder, and I'll just push it into my neck and set that area. Just to make sure that if you brought your foundation that low, that if you brought your foundation that low, that it won't transfer onto your clothes. So this is basically what I do for my flawless base. I'm gonna move on to putting my eyebrows on because I'm gonna do my normal makeup routine, and I'm gonna let this powder continue to sit. Okay guys, so we are back. I went to go do my eyebrows off camera. That will be its own separate video completely, but if you're curious what I used, I did use the NYX Tame & Frame Tinted Brow Pomade, and I set that with a little bit of brown eyeshadow powder. So next we're gonna take our e.l.f., and this is a blush brush, but I feel like it fits perfectly the way that it tapers, like underneath your eye. So we are gonna dust off the bake that we had on our nose and on underneath our eyes. And so I like to tap it in as opposed to swiping. I'm just not a big fan of any swiping motion after you set your makeup. I feel like it kind of takes some of the coverage away. So we're gonna press this powder in. And you can see it really just brightens up underneath your eyes. And we're gonna press it in on both sides. And it really absorbed nicely into the skin, made it look very poreless on the nose and on the sides of the nose. So if you guys wanted to leave it like that, you're fine to go throw on some mascara, be out the door, and you're done with your makeup. I've been adding this new step because of Jaclyn Hill. She said that if you set your powder with the Lancôme Absolute powder on the rest of your face, it just kind of gives like this airbrush finish. So that's what I've been liking to do. You don't need to do it. You can be completely fine with all the drugstore products that I've told you guys about for a flawless base. But if you want to spend a little bit of extra money, I feel like this is nice. You don't have to use this every day because this is kind of expensive, this powder. But on special occasions, and this thing will last you a really long time. So what I'm doing is I'm just dumping it into the lid so we can have some powder there. I'm gonna take the same sponge. I kind of reserved this Real Technique sponge for just powders, so on the top was where I put the under eye powder to set my concealer. And now the flat base, I'm gonna take it into the powder, and you're gonna wanna dust it off because it picks up a lot of powder. You can dust it off into your hand. And you're gonna press this gently. I like to do it everywhere but underneath the eyes because I like to keep those really bright. So you're just gonna press this into your skin. And again, with the wet sponge, it's just gonna make sure that this doesn't look cakey. It's gonna look moisturized. So you're pressing the powder. And I like the fact that this kind of like marries the two. It marries where your foundation is and where your concealer is. So it doesn't have that harsh line. It just really makes sure that everything just looks like a smooth transition. You don't want to have like a harsh white line or a harsh light color underneath your eyes. So I'm gonna put a little bit more powder into the cap. Same thing, take the flat side, dip it in, tap off any excess into your hand, and then push it into your skin. And this really just gives you such an airbrushed finish. I feel like it looks so nice. And I just recently added this step into my makeup routine, and I can really just see a difference in how my makeup looks. Alright guys, so I went ahead and finished my makeup off camera. I just did a really light, semi-natural look. To some people, it's still a lot of makeup. To me, this is my natural day. So, I did my bronzer, contour, highlight, blush, all of the rest of my face, threw on some fake lashes, and then put on some lipstick. I've really been enjoying this lipstick by Terry. It is called, let me see, I think it's called Lady Bear. 99% sure. I'll swatch it for you guys. Hopefully you can see the color. But I like it because of the fact that this is very moisturizing, but it's still long lasting like a liquid lip. So if you guys are curious what's on my lip, it's this lipstick. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to give it a like. Comment down below any other makeup things that maybe you guys need help on or any questions, and I'll be sure to do some videos. Make sure you subscribe, share with any family and friends if you'd like, and I'll see you guys in our next video. Bye. Guys, so we are back. I went to go do my
Is right.
Oh gosh. So from there, I would go into bronzer, contour, blush, and highlight. You could throw on some mascara and you're completely done for the day. And that would be completely fine. But I've added this new makeup. Okay, it's okay, I can edit all this out.